Scarlet Nexus is Bandai Namco's newest release on the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC game platforms, where you can play as any one of two different protagonists trying to defy their future and their fate. In this game, you actually have access to social links or social aspects that the game decides to call social bonds, or bonds in general. These bonds and SAS systems can be raised with just about every single one of the players that your characters can team up with, so they have better abilities in combat, so they have better perks as they're fighting alongside each other, and they basically can boost each other up to the best of their strengths. Each one of the characters has a different type of power, and you definitely want to be able to take full advantage of having full access to your characters, being as supportive as possible. To complement these social links and bond systems, you have the option to be able to gift items to different players in different situations and for very specific reasons. So not only can you level up your SAS and bond levels with them, but it'll also allow those specific characters to have full access capabilities and strengths. Gifts can be handed out to the characters that you're playing with during the hideout periods. These are in between mission moments where characters are simply just freely laying about and you have a chance to be able to raise your bonds and get to know them a little bit better. Obtaining the actual gifts that you want to give to any one of the characters can be gathered through the exchange process in the sales menu. Essentially, whenever you speak to any one of the shops or any one of the shop characters, you'll be able to tab into the right and head into the exchange option. Then you should be able to see not just potions and weapons and upgrades to any one of the equipment that you already have, but all the way to the bottom you should be able to see presents. And presents are essentially the gifts that you'll be awarding to any one of the characters. Each one of the tabs and each one of the presents that you can give to a specific character can be obtained by trading items that you actually found out in the wild. Essentially, whenever you go out on the mission and you collect a couple of items in a specific area or monster drops, but whether they're rare or not, you can actually use those to be able to trade them in the specific exchange program. Looking at the exchange screen, you can also see which characters are going to be more accessible to be able to pick up these items and be able to get them directly. There's also three very specific things you need to look out for, and these are what type of quality items you're actually going to pick up. Gifts come in three different layers: low quality, mid quality, and high quality gifts. The way you can tell which ones are low, mid, and high quality items are based on the hearts that they have right next to the characters. And sometimes a specific item or a specific gift that you can award to a different set of characters will have different parameters. So for example, if your character's face in that little box check right next to the gift in the exchange tab says it has no actual heart showing up, that means it's a low quality item for that very specific character. But if they just happen to have a white heart right next to them, that means it's a mid quality item. If they happen to have a red heart right next to it, that means it's a high quality item. What this essentially means is that you want to be able to pick up as many red heart items for that very specific character that you wish to level up their social bonds with. If you keep giving them white hearts or no heart items, chances are they're not gonna level up as fast as possible, or sometimes even at all. The reason for that is because bond levels are actually capped based on the story and where you are at in that specific story sequence or the story moments. So if you actually try to go ahead and level up a social bond to a character and max it out to, let's say, level 6, which is the highest level you can level it up to at the very beginning few hours of the game, you are not going to be able to do that because the game simply locks you out from being able to level up past a certain number. So this is why you should probably never spend too much time trying to farm too many items that you can eventually trade into one of your characters to level up their bonds. Essentially, the ongoing theory should be that you can cap them around level 4 at phase 7. This is about midway through the story if you happen to just be playing with just one of the characters and not doing two full completely runs to be able to see the full story in both sides of the game. So if you essentially level up just the characters all the way to level 4 in around phase 6 or 7, that's about all the grinding you should be required to actually do to be able to see just about all of the characters eventually max out as you finish out the game. Now, one of the things that I haven't necessarily talked about just yet is bond levels and bond sequences. And bond sequences are essential cutscenes that you would be able to see as they're triggerable as you are leveling up your specific character's SAS and their SAS level. Usually every single character has one of these bond sequences in each one of the levels that they level up to. However, that's not always true, so don't take that as like the golden rule, because that's not necessarily always the case. Bond sequences are also tied specifically to the story and story moments. Essentially, these are like reasons for one of the characters to be able to begin speaking to another character, where they'll proceed to get to know each other a little bit better and have a rather random discussion about any sort of different type of topics. There's also no specific rule that states that whenever you see a cutscene during a Bond sequence, that they automatically means that your Bond within that specific character or the SAS level is gonna level up. That doesn't necessarily always mean that very same thing. It could only mean that you're probably about halfway through leveling them up their social page, their social link, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you've leveled them up completely to the next level. So the gist of it all is that if you want to keep farming gifts to keep leveling up your SAS levels for each one of the characters, you should be aiming for gifts that have a red heart right next to them. This should make it a little bit easier for you to be able to level up those SAS levels. And the reason why you want to do that is very simple. Each time they level up their SAS, they gain a new ability or a new passive booster whenever you have linked up those characters specifically to your character. That basically means whenever you have full access to their moveset, whether it is electricity or fire or teleportation or anything along those lines. They all basically level up in the same manner as well. They start with two basic, very defensive focused abilities, and then slowly as you level them up, they start getting a little bit more offensive ones. These are all just boosters essentially to re-equip the moveset and give it a little bit more of a flavor, but it's not necessarily anything you should be focusing too heavily or relying upon that they can't necessarily already do as a level 1. So it's not like you have to level up any of these SAS levels to have access to a very specific area or hidden secrets or anything along those lines, except you do get to have those specific Bond sequences and those Bond moments with those characters to get to know them a little better, especially because some of the characters in this game are definitely interesting and they have some good stories to tell, so you definitely want to be able to check them out as best as possible if you do happen to have the chance. But like I said before, because this game's full story is actually told through two separate full playthroughs, either as playing as Kasane or Yuito in the first playthrough and then doing the other character second in the second playthrough, you should be able to see not just the entirety of the story and actually what it's truly trying to tell, but also level up all of those bonds with each one of the characters, specifically the ones from the other parties and the other teams that you did not usually get to see all that much of very early on. Do remember that some characters team up a little bit better with the playstyles of Yuto and other characters team up better with the playstyle of Kasane, so you should also keep that in mind going forward. But hopefully you found this guide a little bit helpful so you can have some better understanding of how the social links, bonds aspects actually work in this game and what type of gifts you should be aiming to give any and all characters whenever you want to level up their SAS. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!